What makes a fantasy football schedule easy or hard to predict? Imagine trying to guess how many points a player will score next week. Now, think about how much their schedule plays a role in that guess. A schedule can make a big difference in how predictable a player's performance is. When we talk about strength of schedule, we mean how tough or easy the opponents a player faces are likely to be for fantasy points. If a player faces defenses that usually give up lots of points, their schedule is considered easier to predict. But if they face defenses that are tough and rarely allow many points, predicting their success gets trickier. The main way to measure this is by looking at how many fantasy points opposing defenses allowed in past seasons. For example, if a defense gave up a lot of points to running backs last year, then facing that defense might be a good matchup for a running back. The overall strength of the opponents a team faces also matters. If most of their opponents had high winning percentages last season, that usually means they played tougher defenses, making the schedule harder to predict. There are several factors that can make a schedule easier or harder to forecast. First, the actual defensive performance of opponents matters. If a defense allowed more points to a certain position in previous years, that makes the matchup easier to predict. Different defenses are better at stopping certain positions. For example, some teams are strong against quarterbacks but weak against tight ends. Changes in team rosters or coaching staff can also shake things up. If a team gets new players or a new coach, their defense might improve or decline, making past data less reliable. Game location and weather conditions also influence predictability. Playing at home can be an advantage, while outdoor games in bad weather can reduce scoring. The composition of the schedule is another factor. Facing more playoff teams or defenses known for their strength makes predicting outcomes more difficult. Conversely, a schedule filled with weaker defenses tends to be easier to forecast. In-season changes like injuries or team form can also throw off predictions. Even if you start with a good idea of a schedule's difficulty, unexpected events can change things quickly. That's why using strength of schedule as a guide is helpful but not foolproof. It can help you decide when to target certain players or when to be cautious. For example, if a quarterback has a tough schedule, you might look for other options in later rounds. Always keep an eye on updates about defenses and schedules during the offseason to refine your predictions. In the end, a schedule is easier to predict when it involves defenses with known weaknesses or strengths that stay consistent. It gets harder when there are many variables like roster changes, weather, or game conditions that can shift defenses' effectiveness. Combining strength of schedule with other evaluation methods will give you a better shot at making smart draft choices and managing your team during the season.